Hello friends and welcome back. So in this session I am going to cover how you can configure the data source in WebSphere. Okay, but before I jump into the execution, I will give you some small overview of data source if you are not aware about what exactly is the data source. Okay, so I will explain what is data source and some important properties. Okay, and some important terms that are related with the data source. For example, connection pool. Okay, what is connection pool when we talk about the data source? Okay, then we have some drivers. So we when we configure the data source, we need some drivers. Okay, and we have a two different kind of a drivers. Then we have a role of JNDI when we configure the data source. So overall, when we configure the source, there are certain inputs we provide, and it is very important to understand what are those inputs. Okay, along with what is the purpose of the data source and connection pool. Okay, so let me explain what exactly is the data source. So now it is very clear from the name as well, data source. That means it is a source for your data. Okay, so in enterprise world, we have the applications and data exists in the database, right? So this is our WebSphere application server. Okay, and it contact the database if it need the data, right? Because in the enterprise world, mostly our data is stored in the database, and this database can be any. It can be your Oracle database, MySQL, MS SQL, DB2. There are multiple kind of database. So database could be any. Okay, and in the sense, if you are configuring it with the WebSphere, then that corresponding database has to be certified with the WebSphere. Okay, so now in a nutshell, whenever your application need the data, it will contact the database for the data where we have the multiple tables and our data is stored in the multiple tables, right? So data source we configured in the WebSphere to make a connectivity with the database. That means, sorry, if you have deployed some applications in your WebSphere application servers, okay, and that application need the connection with the database, so it will contact the data source, and via data source it will reach the database. Simple. So data source, you can say it is a barrier or a mediator between your application, okay, and your database to provide the connectivity. So your application will contact the data source, it will reach to database, it will fetch the data, and then data via data source will be returned back to your application. Okay, so this is the data source. Now second term is connection pool. What is connection pool? Okay, so connection pool, it is a pool of ready to use connection. Let me write it. Pool of ready to use connections. Now what is mean ready to use connections? So as I said, whenever your application need the connectivity with the database, it will reach to data source, and then it will take the connection from the database. Okay, so now what happens when we talk about the connection pool? It is a ready to use connection. That means already established connection with the database. Okay, that means your pool has a certain number of connection. For example, if I say my pool has 50 connections, 50 connections. So these 15 connections are always ready to use connections. That means whenever your application need a connection with the database, it will reach to the data source. Data source will take the ready to use connection from the connection pool, which is already established with your database. Okay, and then it will return back to your application. Okay, that means dynamically your application don't need to create the connection from the database when it is required. It will take the connection which is already established with the database. So if I am saying 50 is my connection pool capacity, so that means there are 50 established connection with the database in this pool. Those are always ready for the application. So whenever your application need the connection, it will reach to a connection pool, it will use the ready to use connection, and it will return back to the application. Okay, so what will happen in this case? This will going to increase the performance because your application doesn't require to create the connection with the database at the runtime when it is in need. Otherwise, what will happen if you do not have a connection pool? Your application will reach to data source. Data source will reach to your database. Then it will create the connection, and that will open the connection, and then it will send the connection back to your application, which is a very time taking. Okay, if your application is performance intensive application, then it may hamper the performance. So connection pool is the better option in that case, where you have a ready to use connections which will increase the performance of your applications. So now what will happen in this case? This is your WebSphere. Here you have deployed the application. Okay, this is your database. and we have this application deployed in the WebSphere which need the connection from the database. So here you will have the data source. This data source have the ready to use connections, for example 50. Your application will reach to the data source. Data source will take the connection from the reserve 50 connections and it will return back to the application. And this 50 means 50 already established connections with the database. These 50 connections will always be ready and always be connected with the database. So your application don't need to reach to database for creating the connections at the runtime. It will take from the pool. Right. So now when we define this capacity, when I say 50, okay, then in that case you should aware about that what is the requirement of your applications. How many concurrent connections your application need with the database. So for that, there is a long exercise is needed. Like you can say that the initial performance testing of your applications, when you create a expected load in your application, and then it create a connection to a database, and then you understand what is the connection capacity is required for my application. How many concurrent applications will connect to my database at a time. So for that, we perform the multiple performance testings, and then we arrive to a figure what would be the capacity of my data source. Okay, and then during the regular operations, we can monitor the utilization from the console as well. What is the utilization of my data sources? If initially I have given 50, maybe my requirement is the 60, or maybe your business is getting increased, and after 6 months of time, 1 year of a time, you may need to increase the capacity 100. So you can always monitor this utilization from the console as well. Okay, like what is the current utilization of your connection capacities, and based on that, you can increase the value of this capacity. What is the capacity required for your connections? Okay, now apart from this capacity, okay, we have three different capacity parameters: max capacity, minimum capacity, and initial capacity. So we define three kind of a capacity: maximum, minimum, and and initial. Now, what is the meaning of all three? So maximum capacity means the total number of maximum connection that we are expecting your application will create to the database at peak time. For example, if I say 50, okay, so in 24 hours a day, it could be possible that for 2 hours the maximum capacity required for your data source or connection pool is 50. For that means during the 24 hours of a day, at peak time for 2 hours, you need the 50 capacity, but rest of the 22 hours, okay, 20 to 30 connections would be sufficient, non-peak time. Okay, then if 22 hours I need 20 to 30 connections, and only for 2 hours I need 50, then why I will define the 50 connections always, because this is going to take the resources of your system, right? Because these are the establish connections with your database. That means it is taking the resources of your database. Okay, so what I will do in that case, I can define something like that: 50 is the maximum capacity. Minimum capacity, suppose I can define 30. So what will happen? Your connection pool will always maintain 30 minimum connections in the pool, because that is the minimum requirement of your data source, right? 22 hours a day, 20 to 30 connections. So 30 connections will always be there in your connection pool. That means 30 established connections with the database. Okay, now suppose at a peak time only for 2 hours, if your capacity demand is 50, then this 50 can increase up to the 50, because we have defined the maximum capacity as 50. So it can reach up to the 50 according to the demand, and the demand is the 2 hours. It could be any 2 hours in a day when we have a peak time. So during that 2 hours it will create the 50 connections. Okay, and once this peak time is over, then again it is going to maintain the 30 connections. So it is going to save some resources in your system, right? And the initial capacity. So initial capacity, when you start your server, when we start the server, okay, so at the starting of the server, how many connections it is going to reserve with the database. Okay, there are specific scenarios where some kind of application may need to test the connectivity or to reach the database when starting the applications, okay, during the startup of servers. So for that you can define some initial capacity as well. Okay, for example, I have defined the initial capacity as 10. So these will be the three capacities that I will define for my connection pool: maximum capacity, minimum capacity, and initial capacity. For better performance of your application, you will see the recommendation always: maximum capacity should define as the minimum capacity, or you can say minimum capacity should define as the maximum capacity. In both case, that means both parameters should be equal to the maximum capacity what you are expecting. So if you are expecting 50 connections, maximum connections, even for 2 hours of a time, You can define maximum and minimum equal to 50. This is to achieve the better performance. Why? Because you will have always 30 connections in your data connection pool. Okay, and when demand increase, then it is going to create the rest of the 20 connections from the database. This is again can hamper your performance because rest of the 20 connections is going to be created dynamically. So it may impact the performance. That is the reason you will see the recommendation is maximum and minimum capacity should be defined as the equal, and that is based on your maximum capacity requirement, right? So this is the data source and the role of connection pool and the role of maximum, minimum, and initial capacity. Now, how your application connect with the your data source? Oh, so sorry, database. Okay, so let me clarify that as well. Now, this is your WAS, and here we have an application. This is our data source with the capacity of 50. Okay, and your application need the connection from the database. So this application connect with the data source, and data source give the connection from the connection pool, which is an already established connection with the database like this one, and return back. So how this application connect with to your data source? You need something to define in your application, right? And that is called the JNDI, Java Naming Directory Interface, which is a lookup service, JNDI of the data source. So when we create this data source, we define a JNDI name for your data source. For example, JDBC slash app1. So if this is the JNDI that you have defined in your data source, same JNDI you need to define in the application. That means when when the developers are developing the application, they need to define one JNDI name. Okay, and that same GNDI name you have to define in your data source, right? So that means if you have a requirement that like you are configuring a data source, apart for collecting the basic information of the database, you need to check with the developers what is the GNDI name I need to define in the data source, because this GNDI name, whatever you are defining in the data source, should be same as defined in the application, because with the help of this GNDI, your application contact the data source. So this is one of the other important term. Apart from that, when we configure the data source, what are the basic details we need? Like the host name of your DB. What is the IP address or DNS of where the database is running? What is the port of your database? Default is 1521 for Oracle. What is your username? What is your password? And what is your DB name? So these are the certain details that we need for the connectivity with the database. And you can get all these details from the database team if you have a separate database team. So these details you have to get from the database team, and JNDI name you have to get from the developers before you are going to configure the data source in the WebSphere. Okay, and then the connectivity from your WebSphere to database, it happens with the help of drivers. Okay, DB drivers. When I talk about the Oracle, so we have a JDBC drivers, and for that we have a driver files like the jar file, and I'm sure you heard about ojdbc.jar file, which is for Oracle driver file. So you need to download the driver file for that particular database that you are going to configure in the data source. You need to add that jar file, driver file in the class path. Okay, and this class path you can define when we configure the data source from the admin console. It's a straightforward process. I will show you. Okay, so you need to define the class path where you are going to add your driver file. And once the driver file is added, then you need to configure the data source. And to configuring the data source, you need your database details along with the JNDI name, right? So that means configuring the data source in WebSphere are two steps. The very first thing, register the driver. Second, then configure the data source. So this is the two-step major step that we use for configuring the data source in the WebSphere. Then you one more thing about the drivers, which is again very important to understand. Okay, so when we say drivers for the connectivity with the database, so we have two kind of a drivers: non-exit drivers and exit drivers. So this exit driver is basically used for the distributed transactions. Now, what is mean of distributed transactions is very straightforward. If your transaction, the transaction that is happening in your application in the database, it involve multiple target systems. multiple target system. That means a single transaction going to connect to the multiple data sources. Okay, there could be multiple data sources related with a single transaction. This could be your database. That means the different sources that is involved in the single transaction could be different. Like the database, what could be your JMS, it could be your MQ server, it could be some different subsystems. Okay, so there could be multiple subsystems related with the one transaction that is called the distributed. Now, use case you can consider e-commerce. If you buy any item from the e-commerce website, okay, so there are multiple channel partners in a single transaction. For you, it is a single transaction, right? You are buying a product, but in the back end, you may have the multiple partners, the logistic partner, the manufacturing partner, your retail owner who is going to ship you the product. Then you will have the some email services. You have the SMS service. You have the payment gateway. All these are working together to complete a single transaction. Your payment is completed. You will get a SMS. You will get an email. The manufacturer will be informed, and then logistic partner will be informed. Retail partner will be informed. So that means in a single transaction, there are multiple sources are involved, right? This is called a distributed transaction. So if you have this kind of a distributed transactions, then we configure the XA data source. And if you do not have distributed transactions, you have a single data source like a single DB there. Okay, in that case, we configure the non-XA drivers. Okay, so these are the important thing that you should understand when we talk about the different drivers. So now hope it is clear to you what is the data source, what is connection pool, what are the different important parameters that we provide for the data source connections pool, what is drivers, and what are the important steps when we configure the data source in the WebSphere, and what is GNDI, what is the importance of GNDI, what are the important parameters that we collect before we configure the data source for your database. Okay, so let us now go for the configuration of the data source.